Hi there, welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. Sorry about the noise outside, but the workmen are working. Can't stop the workmen. How are you doing? Today we're going to talk about an amazing crystal, and I'm going to talk about my first experience and thereafter. With Moldavite. Hey, you love Moldavite. I was asked this question, so why not? Let's talk about it. So, my first experience with Moldavite may have been slightly different from yours, and the reason why, and this isn't egoistic, please don't take this the wrong way. I started my journey at 38 years old, and within a short space of 2 years, I had been gifted many foresights, insights into the world of magic. I was frantically, like you do, trying to hold on to the magic. And what that means is that when you first start to feel the magic, you're all over the place. You're trying to rekindle that energy wherever you see it, whenever it happens. So take for instance, you're in the company of a shaman. You want to continue that energy. So you're searching to find how to keep that energy high. So I realized that the only way I could do that is by embracing it completely. So I embraced this path by way of learning how to heal, like the shamans, and learning how to see, like seers do in all walks of life. You know, there's so many in different countries, seers. They call themselves different things, you know. So I started to follow that path, and people started to come into my life. Within those 2 years, I was introduced to many crystals, but at the point of holding my first Moldavite was at a show in Marbella called the H10, and it was the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival, and it happens every year in October. And one of my mentors said, "You're ready?" And I said, "Really? Yeah, you're ready." So I booked my table, and I had a healing bed, and I started the work. It wasn't long because I was a new kid on the block. I started getting booked up right in the morning. So I had about 20 sessions through that day, and they were all mini sessions, about half an hour. So I did about, let's say between 14 and 20. I wasn't really sure how many, but at the end of I think it was the second day, which was the Sunday, I just about finished all my sessions, and it was my birthday. So it was the 20th of October, and I think I was working on my birthday. So my mentor says, "Come over here." So I walked over there, and she said, "I bought you a gift." Nobody was around. It was just me and her, and she put this green, this green thing, tiny green thing, into my hand. Tiny green thing. I'm going to show you what size it was. It was about that size, but it didn't come with a beautiful clasp. It was just a piece of Moldavite. Now, bear in mind that I just finished a full day's work with clients doing healing and psychic work, so my energy was extremely high, and I was attuned feeling all day long. So I was very sensitive at that moment. So she put it in my hand and she just watched me. And my first reaction was looking down at the floor to see what I'd feel. As I was looking down at the floor, I saw my eyes lift. So my eyes and my body started to lift from the floor. So as I'm looking at the floor, I'm raising from the floor. And it's like I can feel my body elevating from the floor. And I didn't lose my footing because my feet were firmly on the floor, but I felt I was off the floor, and I went, "Whoa, my God, what is this?" That was my first reaction to Moldavite, and I was hooked, completely hooked. There was nothing nobody could say to me that would alter my view on this green piece of glass that I had no idea what it was. But then we sat down at the end of the day, and she then explained to me what Moldavite was and that she'd worked with it for many, many years. And that and Alexandrite and other crystals, but Moldavite had a unique expression. And she said, tell me, how you get on in the coming weeks. I kept that piece of Moldavite for quite a while, I think maybe 6-8 months. And at the same time I was looking for Moldavite too, I realized at that point that there was a lot of fake Moldavite. So I was very aware of that then. And the lady who sold that piece of Moldavite, I think it was Joelle, but I'm not 100% sure. It might not have been, but I think it was. Everybody expressed the same thing. Be careful, because there's a lot of fake, which there is, and you now probably know this more than ever. So at that point of working with Moldavite, I started to work on my clients with Moldavite, as well as leaving my clients at the end of the day, whether it was 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and then going to my local park, which is on a mountaintop in Spain, and sitting just to recall all the sessions that I'd done that day. And that was the most important time for me, because it was a time where I would cleanse away my negativity and heal myself after that day, because we do pick up residue of our clients, whether they're in a deeply stressful place or whether they're totally traumatized by the loss of somebody or somebody doing something terrible to them, or whether they are just completely lost in life. You pick up that fear, that negative energy, and it does sometimes attach to you like dirty energy. So you need to wash that away. Well, I found myself doing a little ritual, which was a breathing exercise to begin with, but with Moldavite. And I could feel, and I found myself feeling exactly the same way as the elevation energy, which I realized was lightening my spirit, at the same time clearing my physical body. So I found that Moldavite was one of few crystals that would work on multiple energy frequencies. One which would keep you grounded, but still lift you up to a new energy. So you would feel like you were lifting. And even to this day, when I wear it, I still get those feelings when I start doing the work. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people say to me, why is it I don't feel anything? And I say, well, for me, the best time to work with Moldavite is when I'm feeling in that space, when I'm feeling in that moment that I want to attune. So it's like it helps me activate myself when I'm doing the work. And some people say to me, how do you activate it? And I often say to people, Moldavite activates itself according to your thoughts, feelings, traumas, and where you want to be, what you want to do, and how far you want to take it. So it's a kind of a living entity. It understands you and it works with you. There are times that you can just wear it and feel overwhelmed. There are times that you can wear it and feel nothing. But ultimately, I always say that when you present yourself with Moldavite and you really want to do the work, you find that it really does work with you. So I think that's one thing we need to talk about. Working with Moldavite and activating Moldavite. Activating crystals, I have never done that before, because my work has been organically introduced to crystals while working with clients and myself. And what that meant was that my first crystal I ever worked with, I laid it on top of a client. And after that healing session, I moved it to one side. And then in a few days, I kept using this crystal. And then one day I just gave it to somebody. I realized there was a pattern of me giving away crystals. And that pattern was, every time I worked with, let's say, a client who was crying, and then after I'd finished the healing session, they'd get up and say, my headache's gone, I suffer with migraines. I'd find that I'd keep using that particular crystal, because I might have 20 or 30 crystals on my healing desk. And every time it's, oh wow, I use that crystal for the same thing. The client had a headache, or the client had an issue with craziness in the mind, or it was always about the mind. So that energy that went into the crystal that was actually going into the client, because when that energy comes through, it's going to go into the crystal because the crystal holds memory. So now when I give it to somebody else as a gift, I started to realize that when I was gifting it to them, they were suffering with headaches that I didn't realize. So it was like the crystal, I knew who to give crystals to because of the work that was done on the client who was suffering, and he's no longer suffering, but the energy is in here now. So they're cleansed and cleared. Sometimes I'd even give the crystal to the client and say, keep this with you just in case you lose that energy and you then cause the issue again, which we do. We often bring back our suffering by our thoughts or our environment or the people around us. So if you keep the crystal, it retains that memory, it doesn't go. So activating a crystal to me is slightly different than the way you see it. So what I do is, if I'm going to start to work on, say I want to attune to something higher than what I'm used to in this world, so I want to connect to the spirit world, I'll sit and focus my energy and start to work in that field of trying to connect. And at the same time, my Moldavite then starts to attune and connect at the same time. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to activate this crystal and this is what's going to happen. No, activate is the wrong word for me. So what I do with all my crystals, my Moldavites, I will work like, for instance, this one here. Okay, I'm working with this one. I'll work with that between 1 and 10 hours. And what I do with that is I'll place it in my hand and I'll simply activate it in the way you think, but I call it giving memory. So I hold it and then call upon a certain energy, or I'll wait for the energy to come through because spirit knows what needs to go into it. So sometimes I will try and feel something like, okay, I'm feeling that I want to connect to family and spirit. I want to clear the grief, the pain, the suffering, and I want to feel happiness again and joy, and I want that to come through the energy of spirit or the universe, giving that energy into here. So I'll feel that energy and I'll feel the love, I'll feel the healing, I'll feel the guilt disappearing, and then that now has 1 hour which is going to help somebody with that. There are times that I'll sit down and I just want to attune to healing. So I want to become the best healer. I want to become the strongest healer. So I'll sit here and I'll wait for certain energies to start clearing my body. Once that's cleared, then this crystal now has an energy to help clear the body so you become a stronger healer. I work differently than most other healers, or maybe there are healers out there who work the same, but activate to me isn't the word, because one thing that I try to do is be open. And sometimes I can work with a crystal and think that I'm going to do this with it, and all of a sudden something else will come forward which is completely different and blows me away. And I go, wow, that's amazing. So am I in control? Sometimes I try to be and try to bring forward a certain absent healing towards somebody, but then something else will come up and wow, I was meant to be absent healing that, and all of a sudden now I'm absent healing her husband who needed more healing to be able to help her. And that's a good thing, So when working with Moldavite, I'm always open to being open and not always being rigid with Moldavite, and that's an experience, and I like that because you're always feeling the experience with Moldavite, which can be a different experience each time you use it. And the fact that the universe, the cosmos, the stars, the alignment of everything, the changing of the energy within this world, well, if everything's changing, then it makes sense that Moldavite will change with that. And it helps lift and elevate me when I'm feeling low, and helps me grounded when I'm feeling too high. When I'm feeling angry, it brings peace. When I'm feeling peace, it brings sometimes excitement and joy. So it's always there to heighten my vibration or heal me or connect me to certain frequency. I don't talk too much about extraterrestrial because that just sends people all over the place. But when I talk about extraterrestrial, it just means that it's another frequency we don't know about and we're not used to. I'm used to working with spirits, so that's easy. I can feel them, I understand them, I know what's going on most of the time because I've worked with them for 20 years. But extraterrestrial is a different energy, it's a different frequency, and you might be in that frequency that you work with day and night, but I don't have that. But when I work with Moldavite, I get closer to that frequency because it helps me attune, because it is a crystal of not this world. So it is a tektite. It's a meteorite. No, it's not. It's a tektite. It's a crystal. No, it's not. It's a meteorite. It doesn't matter. It's a beautiful piece of magic that I work with, and I absolutely adore the thousands of clients that have held a piece of Moldavite in my company. It's something that can only be observed and experienced to really truly understand the power of Moldavite. That there is no, you can't share these snippets of golden nuggets and for people to say, oh, I understand what you're saying. You have to be here. You have to be in this room to watch what goes on. The immense power of Moldavite and how it attunes to the client and how it knows exactly how to clear away certain traumas, certain issues, and build an energy that makes people awakened, makes people see that they've never seen before, all their psychic senses heightened. So it's incredible. It's incredible. It really is. Moldavite is one of the most incredible crystals that I've ever worked with, and nobody can tell me any different. Just like the sun is warm on my face, just like the air, when I breathe it, I feel stronger. When I breathe deeply, I feel stronger. So you can't tell me Moldavite doesn't work, because in my world, in my experience over 20 years, it's worked tremendously. And even at the times when people say they felt nothing, I actually saw a huge shift in my clients, and they didn't even feel it themselves. So sometimes we're so blocked, we can't feel things. We have no conception of our senses because we've eaten poisons, we drink poisons, we're gluttonous, we just don't care, we're just filled with fear, we're blocked because we don't want to get hurt anymore. There's so many traumas and reasons why you wouldn't feel Moldavite. And the whole point of this conversation, guys, is this. I was at a high frequency when I first held a piece of Moldavite. So it made sense that I felt the power of it, because I was working in that kind of frequency with my clients, healing people, feeling that energy, being part of that subtle, beautiful and powerful magic. So it makes sense. So when you don't feel, it's because you need to cleanse and detox, spiritually speaking and physically speaking. So when people say, this is crazy, it's rubbish, it's just a piece of glass. Okay then, you don't know what you're missing. All right, that's my experience. That's just part of 1,000, 10,000 stories I could tell you about Moldavite. But I do like talking about Moldavite because it's so easy to talk about for me. It's such a beautiful crystal, and if you've never had some, then one day, maybe, just maybe, it might blow you away. On a final note, if you go to markbajerski.com, we're on, is it the 28th tomorrow? So it's only 2 more days, I think, or is it 2 or 3 more days left to be entered into a very special raffle. And that means if you go to markbajerski.com, I'll put the link below, and just choose any crystal to buy. If you fancy a crystal that you'd like to buy, if you buy one, then that will be turned into a ticket, like a little raffle ticket. So if you buy 1 crystal, you'll get 1 raffle ticket. If you buy 2 crystals, 2 tickets, and so on. You get entered into a raffle. There's a bowl over here, and I put the names in there. And I'll do the raffle on the 1st of the month, and that is to win this. And this is one of the most beautiful crystals in the world. And of course, it's a Moldavite. It's something that I would have dreamed of for maybe 8 years of working with Moldavite. So, because that's what I do. So here we go. It is a museum Moldavite Besanice hedgehog. So I'll let you see it. There you go. This is a museum piece, which means it has absolutely 0 damage. It's mint everywhere, and it should be in a museum. Maybe better in your pocket or working with it. its frequency is fantastic. I've worked over probably 60 hours with this particular crystal, and it's fascinating. And I don't want to talk too much about it because you should be able to connect with it and see how you feel with this particular hedgehog. So there you go. That's it. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. I hope you enjoyed this Moldavite conversation with Mark Bajerski, and I hope you can join me with many other conversations, not only on Moldavite, but on spirituality, self-help, healing, and all the other things that I talk about from day to day. So if you haven't, please subscribe to Mark Bajerski Crystals channel if you're into crystals. Take care. Have a great day.